Wait, let's get the good thumbnail. Where? Hey friends! I hope you all are doing well. It's Jasmine and Sydney.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So we wanted to talk today about the Raymond Buckland Museum of Witchcraft, which is in Cleveland, Ohio.
Real cute.
And when did we go? This was
I want to say
January, February, March, like April? No, March.
No. I think it was beginning of March, right before the lockdown.
Yeah. And we went with Katie.
Yes.
And it was a very like spur of the moment thing. So right now we're on vacation in Missouri, visiting some family, but we had gone, it was just like random.
It was out of the blue.
Like we saw it on Facebook, and I had heard of the museum before, and I had seen it before, but I was like, you know what? Do you guys just want to like go to the museum this weekend?
You know.
And so we just packed our bags and we just went.
You know, a New York minute.
You know, if you will. So the drive to Cleveland from Indianapolis wasn't too bad.
No.
It was like maybe 5.5 hours-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, but we also went at night too.
And we stayed at the Cleveland Hostel, which was wild.
Cool.
So let's talk about the museum, Raymond Buckland's Museum of Witchcraft.
Okay.
Okay. So going in to the museum, what were you expecting? Like before we even got there, just like what was your thoughts about what we were going to experience at the museum?
I honestly expected the museum to be like right as soon as you walk in for some reason. Just from like the pictures we like kind of were looking at online and like from their website, for some reason I just pictured you walk in right into the museum, and that like wasn't the case. Not really a bad thing. If anything, it was probably more pleasant. So it wasn't like abrupt in your face. You kind of had a minute to talk to the owner, get your tickets paid for and everything, and then there was like a cute little gift shop. And for some reason I just kind of thought it was just going to be like witchy tool items from Raymond Buckland himself, like things he may have used or things that were like maybe a part of his altar, or at least like pictures of some of like the work he'd done over the years. Maybe kind of like the memories, you know, kind of maybe ritualistic supplies, divination tools, and that was all there.
Yeah, and when I looked online, you know, some of the reviews online say the museum is like kind of small, you know, so I was like, I mean, I was excited. I feel like it's definitely something that if you subscribe to Wicca, it's something worth visiting.
Agreed.
And I want to also say too, you know, this is a review video, but in no way am I saying that I don't recommend the museum. So anyway, so when you get there, it's in Cleveland, like downtownish Cleveland.
Yeah.
And it's just like a small little strip shop, basically. And we parked across the street, I think in a Subway parking lot.
Yes, we did.
And we walked across and we went to the museum. And as soon as you walk in, there is like a small little metaphysical store with some cute crystals and some books and some cute bumper stickers and some jewelry.
Really cute
and
stuff.
these t-shirts.
These are adorable. Okay, get you one of these in the X large for the off the tee kind of feel.
And we cut ours. So, and then we also both got like cute little bumper stickers.
Yes. There's also the postcard that we got. Postcard, it had like a classic piece of artwork, essentially. And it was just like a witch on a broomstick, you know, lying naked, as, you know, beautiful as that is.
You know. For the Book of Shadows.
Yes.
If you will.
I put mine in a cute little frame and hung it on the wall. I also bought like a oracle deck there. I'm trying to think.
Like Aradia? The Secrets of Aradia? Or...
Yes. I was very compelled to have it. Yeah.
So, I'm not sure if he's the owner or not, but the guy who was there, he was friendly.
Really sweet.
And how much was the tour? Like $7?
Yeah, I think it was less than $10.
Yeah. And so we went in, which at the time I was wearing like 8-inch heels.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, be careful because there are like some holes in the floor.
Yes.
Make sure that you don't fall in. And I was like, oh, God.
I think like, because was it like, it wasn't concrete. There was like an interesting area.
I think it was like hardwood.
Hardwood in one area, and then the rest was like, they were like putting in some kind of like sigil work. Or some kind of like ritualistic circle.
Yeah.
That they were going to like finish, and they were like, that's not ready to be viewed yet.
Yeah. So, when you go into the museum, they do give you a tour, and they talk to you about a lot of the items in there. And a lot of these items were from like the Isle of Man and from Raymond Buckland himself. And there was like his original journal. Where he wrote down a lot of his traditions inside of the journal and his like staff.
There was like was it a horn god or was it a triple goddess like headband, like the traditional?
No, I think it was a high priestess like crown that was there. So yeah, so this is going to be an honest review, you guys. We are going to really tell you the truth about this museum from our perspectives and how we feel about this museum. So if you had to give it a 1 through 10 overall, what would you give the museum?
I would say like about a 7.
About a 7?
7.5.
I would give it probably a 6. Probably a 6.
Okay, yeah.
So for you, why is it a 7?
For me, I think it was because a lot of when you first walk in, like the very first half of the tour is very informational and actually talking about Raymond Buckland and his tradition, kind of like where that kind of originated, who he was as a person, which not every person who is getting into Wicca may even know him. You know what I mean? Like a good background. I also appreciated a lot of like the imagery, a lot of like the tools that they were actually able to recover from his practices.
Yeah.
That like you won't ever really see that, like really ever, you know, unless you like go abroad essentially. So I liked that. The rest of the store was like different than what I was expecting, because the rest was kind of more ritualistic divination tools, which was great because there was like a whole Ouija board section, bent spoons from telekinesis, kind of like findings. There was like a huge I say it's like an ode to Black Phillip, even though it wasn't Black Phillip, but to the archetype. So it was like a big black goat head. And I think the rest was like different forms of like divination from like over the last like 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
So you actually saw like the big tapestry, and it was like either a tapestry or like a print, and it was like the original Zodiac.
Yeah.
Imagery.
And there was like some pop culture, like Love Witch.
Yeah.
And like I think Harry Potter.
Yes, like the owner did talk about like how he was actually, I guess, like on the set and was actually able to get like the actual tarot deck used from the Love Witch movie. Really kitschy stuff.
Very kitschy. Yeah.
Like it was like, here's Raymond Buckland's side, and then the rest was kind of like, I mean, we literally got from like Raymond Buckland to like Anton LaVey to Aleister Crowley.
And, okay, so why I give the museum a 6. If 10 is like amazing and 1 is terrible, like I said, I would give the museum a 6 personally. I feel like it was worth our trip.
Yes.
It was worthwhile. It's definitely something that I would recommend other witches to go and see. You know, we drove 5.5 hours from Indianapolis to go to this museum. And I think the name Raymond Buckland's Museum of Witchcraft makes me think that it's a museum solely dedicated to Raymond Buckland's witchcraft. And like you said, there was a lot of really cool artifacts in there, and replicas and original pieces of this tradition. But there was also kind of just like some stuff that I didn't really understand why it was there.
Yes.
Not that I didn't appreciate the stuff, not that I didn't like the stuff, but like, what does Anton LaVey have to do with Raymond Buckland?
Right.
You know, what does Aleister Crowley
completely
have to do with Raymond Buckland?
Right.
And so seeing, you know, stuff in there that is more Anton LaVey's Satanism.
Right.
I'm not opposed to at all in the slightest, but I thought it was kind of weird to have that in a Raymond Buckland Museum.
Yes.
You know, and I also think that can be, you know, a little bit misleading, especially for people who are not of this path, who go and who see satanic stuff inside of a Wiccan museum.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but why is this here?
Yes.
And that wasn't really talked about because most of the tour was over Raymond Buckland's stuff.
Portion, yeah.
And so when we saw the Aleister Crowley and the Anton LaVey, I mean, we were excited, of course, because we recognized it and we knew it right off the bat.
Right.
But it was also like, okay, but why is this in a Raymond Buckland museum?
Right. Which it just throws you off from the Wicca and goes into different religions.
Yeah.
You know, like different paths.
And the Black Phillip bust is really cool.
Yeah.
And we got
definitely
some pictures of that. Yeah.
Definitely had to. I think, too, it kind of felt like once you kind of got past the Raymond Buckland, then the rest was kind of just more like dedicated to like the things that occur in the craft or maybe the tools used.
More like just the occult in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it got more into the craft.
So, yeah. Overall, would definitely recommend it. You know?
And they make improvements too.
Yeah.
Like prior to like when our state did like the shutdown, like he was adding other things to it, which, you know, I think they post on their like Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
Which is great too, because then you have more of the social media and more ways to talk about it, more people to like bring into it.
Yeah.
Because honoring the elders, I feel like is like traditional.
Yeah. You know.
Good way to work with your craft, or like even at least understand where this originated.
So yeah, that's pretty much our review, you know, in a nutshell. So we would definitely recommend you go check it out. We're giving it a solid 6 or 7 out of 10.
Right.
It's worth the trip. It's worth checking out. And we would love to hear your opinions down below.
Okay.
Okay. Blessed be.